Okay, hi second graders. Today we are looking at lesson 3-9. They're going to ask us to use appropriate tools for solving addition problems. And that we're going to find that on page 171. So if you need a minute to grab your book and open to page 171, I'm going to go ahead and share my workspace with you. On that page, you see Jada here. Lesson 3-9 is where we're at, 171. And Jada has a story to share, so I'm going to go ahead and read it while you follow along in your book, okay? All right, it says, there are 23 red balloons in a bag. There are 38 blue balloons in the same bag. How many balloons are in the bag? Use a tool to solve the problem. Be ready to explain which tool you used and why. Okay, so when they're talking about tools, what exactly are they referring to? Well, let's go ahead and look at this thinking habits bubble that they have below. And it talks about different kinds of tools. It says, which of these tools can I use? And here are our options. We can use cubes, counters, hundreds charts, technology, paper and pencil, place value blocks. And the question is there a different tool I can use? Gosh, could you use, like, let's think about some of the things that we do in our yellow spiral. Could we use an equation or a parts to hold chart, maybe a bar diagram, an open number line, right? Once we have our equation, we also have choices. We could use compensation. We could use breaking apart numbers. So there's lots of different ways that you know now to solve. And those are all considered tools that you have to help you solve. All right, so let's go back to our equation. We're going to go ahead and look at the important information to start with. I know there are 23 red balloons, and I know there are 38 blue balloons. And the question is, how many balloons are in the bag? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write out my equation to begin with, 23 plus 38. And you know what? I'm going to cut this in half, and we'll do 2. Two different ways, okay? So one tool that we could use is a number line. Okay, what if I wanted to solve with a number line? I'm going to draw my number line here. I'm going to start with the biggest number, and then I'm going to break the smaller number apart. So I'm going to start with 38 for my open number line. And then I'm going to take 23 and I'm going to break it into 20 for my tens bond and 3 for my ones bond. Now I know how many tens I need to jump and how many ones I need to jump. Okay, so from 38, I can jump 1 10, and 38 plus 10 gives me 48. Our brains love tens, don't they? All right, but I know I need 20, so I need one more 10. Plus 10, 48 plus 10 is 58. Good. So now I've taken care of my tens, and I want to go on to my threes. So I'm going to jump plus 3. I was at 58 plus 3 more. I can just take 58, scoop it up, and count on from there. So that sounds like this, 58, 59, 60, 61. Okay, I land at 61. So I've used the open number line to solve 23 plus 38 equals 61. All right, what's another tool I can use? I can use base 10 blocks. All right, that's one of the options that they talk about down here. Okay, place value blocks. So let me go ahead and start with 23. What would that look like? Well, it's 2 rods, right? And 1, 2, 3 ones. And what about 38? What does that look like? Okay, well, it's 3 rods, 10, 20, 30, and 8 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now my question is, do I have enough ones to make a 10? In this case, I do, don't I? I have 1, 2, 3 plus 5 is 8, 9, 10. So I'm going to scoop all those up, scoop them up. I'm going to cross them out. And what are they going to turn into? They're going to turn into another rod. That's right. So now I'm going to count up my 10s and my 1s. We can do that together. We're going to count by 10s. Here we go. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 61. Look at that. Same answer as I had with my number line, right? Okay, so let's go ahead then and turn the page and take a look at some of what Jada has to share in those top green boxes here. All right, so here's our story that we're starting with. Ted's puzzle has 37 more pieces than Mia's puzzle. Mia's puzzle has 48 pieces. How many pieces does Ted's puzzle have? All right, so then Jada asks herself the question, which tool can I use? So she thinks about all the different tools she has. Cubes, counters, hundreds charts, technology, paper and pencil, place value block. Okay, which tool is a good choice? Okay, well, this is Jada's reasoning behind what she's thinking. Ted has 37 more pieces than Mia. I can use place value blocks to find 48 plus 37. Hey, that's like the strategy that we used on the front, isn't it? Yeah, let me just look back real quick. Right? We also used place value blocks to solve. Okay. So she knows her first add-in is 48, so she uses here 10, 20, 30, 40, and then 8 ones plus 37. 10, 20, 30. She has 3 rods and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ones. All right. Now she also, like we, had to ask ourselves, do you have enough ones to make a 10? Okay, well, here's 5. Look at that, guys. And then over here is another 5. So she sure does. She's going to scoop those up, cross them out, and she's going to replace them, got it, with another rod, right? Okay, now she's going to count up her rods and the ones she has left over. Let's count by 10s together. Here we go. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. And then I see I have 5 ones. So altogether, I have a total of 85. Okay. Now she thinks about a different tool that she has in her toolkit. Let's see what she says about the counters. Let me ask you first. Do you think that counters would be a good way to solve for 48 plus 37? Do you think that counters would be a good way to solve for that? And then think, why is your answer yes or why is it no? Let's see what Jada has to say about it. She says, if I used counters, I'd need to count each one. Oh my gosh, can you imagine putting out 48 counters and then 37 counters and then counting each one? Gosh, that would be a lot of counting. She says, with place value blocks, I can add the 10s quicker. That's true, right? Gosh, it's so easy to just draw our rods and already know that that's 10 instead of having to put out all the little counters to make 48 and then to make 37. So the better tool of these two, the better one to use for this equation are our base 10 blocks, okay? All right, and then she kind of summarizes here. She says, I can break apart 37 and add each part to 48 to check. So she gave a sum of 85. Now she's going to check it by breaking apart. So she says 48 plus 30 equals 78. And then 78 plus 7, well, first she made a 10. 78 plus 2 gives you 80, plus 5 more equals 85. My answer makes sense. She got 85, right? Okay, so not only did she choose which tool would be the best to use with that problem, but then she also chose another tool to check her answer and make sure it made sense. Okay, so that's the powerful thing about the fact that you guys each have lots of tools to use when you're solving. You can use one tool to solve, and then you can choose another tool to help make sure that your answer is correct. Okay, all right, so let's look at some more examples together. We're going to go to the guided practice next. It says choose a tool to help you solve the problem. Show your work. Explain why you chose that tool and how you solved the problem. Okay, let's take a look at number 1. We're choosing a tool. We're going to show our work. We're going to explain why you chose that tool and how you solved the problem. Okay? All right, so number 1, I'm going to read and you follow in your book. There are 16 chickens in the yard. There are 19 chickens in the barn. How many chickens are there in all? Will you use place value blocks or counters to solve the problem? Explain. All right, well, what do you guys think? I know that in the yard there are 16 chickens, and in the barn there are 19 chickens. So my two add-ins are going to be 16 and 19. What do you think makes more sense, to use place value blocks or to use counters? We know that if a number has more than 10, it's easier to use place value blocks, right? Because each of those rods makes 10, and so that just makes it a lot faster. So they show here place value blocks to match the problem. 16, let's go ahead and write the equation here. 16 plus 19, all right? My first set shows 16. There's 1 rod and 6 ones. And then my second set shows 19, 1 rod and 9 ones. All right, now my next question after I put all my place values out, place value blocks out, is, do I have enough ones to make a 10? Well, look at this, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I sure do, don't I? So I'm going to scoop those up. You can see scooping them up. You can do the same in your book. I'm going to cross them out. And what do I get? I get another rod. Now I have 1, 2, 3 rods. I'm going to count by tens. Do that with me. 10, 20, 30, 31, 32, 33, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. Okay, I have 35 all together, so that is my sum. Okay, and now I have 35 chickens. So now we've chosen a tool. It was the base 10 blocks. We've shown our work. It's here in the base 10 blocks that we used, and also in our equation. So we've shown both ways. And then we need to explain why we chose the base 10 blocks. Why is that better than counters? Right? Well, base 10 blocks they have tens, right? They're in groups of tens. So we're going to write base 10 blocks are faster because, that's a word wall word, guys, because, do you remember it? B-E-C-A-U-S-E. It's a put in your head word, right? It doesn't follow the rules. So it's a good one to practice. All right, so far we have base 10 blocks are faster because they are in groups. They are in groups of what? They are in groups of 10, period. All right. So now we've done all three things. We've chosen a tool, we've shown our work, and we've explained why we chose that tool. Okay? All right. So your assignment today, your independent practice is here. The directions ask you to choose a tool to help you solve. Show your work. So there's space here where you can show your work, okay? Over here, there's space in this area. And explain your tool choice and how you will solve and how you solved the problem. And that's what you're going to do here on the lines. Okay? All right, guys. So that's going to be number 2 and number 3. These word problems sometimes can get a little bit more tricky. So if you get stuck on something, or if you have problems, or if you want to talk about it, if you think, oh, I'm not sure if I did this right, please bring it to me at our next Google Meet. We can talk about it, or you can always email me, or you can even type in the Google Classroom and we can look at it together. Okay? All right, guys. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you soon. Bye.